Hi everyone. In this presentation, we are going to talk about strategies for going online with non-credit ESL, specifically in the areas of teamwork, writing, and assessment. We are Monica Cueva, Eric Miller, and Jessica Bernardo Swall, and we all teach with San Diego Continuing Education, and we've been teaching online and hybrid classes for a few years now. And while teaching online and teaching remotely, it's important that we don't view our online teaching with the same lens of how we normally teach our face-to-face classes. Teaching with an online video conferencing platform such as Zoom, Google Meet, or Skype, while great and while it allows us to more closely mirror what we do in the face-to-face classroom, we can't have this be our main mode of instruction in an online class, especially because many of our students will inevitably not be able to attend our online meetings due to work, family obligations, or their children's school. And we just simply can't have 3-hour Zoom meetings. It's not good for anyone involved. So we need to make sure that our coursework and assignments are also available outside of these Zoom meetings, and that we're providing opportunities for students to collaborate and participate if they can't attend these meetings as well. And you might have students right now that say, oh, teacher, I only want to attend the Zoom meetings. Or maybe they are just only attending the Zoom meetings, but not doing anything else. And I think this is because this is what students are used to. This is what they're familiar with. So we also need to help them transition from tradition, and we need to make sure that our outside assignments, outside of the online video meetings, is exciting, engaging, and simple enough for students to access and participate in, so that then they will hopefully want to participate in both parts of the class. And especially now in this chaotic time, it's important to remember to keep it simple. You have probably been bombarded recently over the last few weeks with emails and professional development, introducing new online tools and resources for you to use. And at this point, you are either suffering from option paralysis and you don't want to try anything new, or maybe you feel like you want to try everything new and see what sticks with your students. But just as in a face-to-face class, it's important right now to remember to keep it simple. And you don't want to pick a really cool tool and allow that to dictate what you are going to teach your students. Instead, just as always, we want to make sure we are starting with the learning outcome. We're thinking about what the learning outcome is, and then we need to decide what we will use and how we will help students achieve this learning outcome. So what is the simplest tool we can use, and what's the most equitable tool we can use to help our students achieve this learning outcome? So you'll first want to think about your learning outcome, determine which tool or website will help your students meet this learning outcome. And then I would recommend starting with your district or school's learning management system. This could be Canvas, Moodle, Google Classroom, but if you're using this, then your students are already familiar with it. So there's no need to take them to another tool, give them another account login. If your learning outcome can be achieved through the learning management system, then there's no need to go elsewhere. But if you're maybe not yet using a learning management system, or you're just looking for an alternative to spice things up, then when you're looking at another tool or resource, make sure that you're evaluating it for ease of student use. So test it out on your phone. Is it compatible? Is it free for you and students? If there are videos, do they have closed captions or an interactive transcript? So these are some of the things that need to be taken into consideration when deciding whether or not to bring in a new online tool into your class. So if we look at a learning outcome, for example, students will communicate effectively on a team to solve a problem and report information. You would normally see this and say, oh, I can definitely help my students achieve this in the face-to-face classroom, or even in a Zoom classroom, a Zoom meeting. This would definitely be something we could do with breakout groups, and it would not, it's not going to be anything too challenging. but we also want to look at other ways how students could achieve this outside of those Zoom meetings. And so we know we first want students to brainstorm, discuss, and report the information. And so now we know after they've completed these 3 things, they will have achieved this learning outcome. So we need to determine which tools will allow them to do each of these tasks. And so for brainstorming, a good tool that you could use for this would be a shared Google Doc. And you could create a shared Google Doc for each group. So each group would be able to click on a link and access this document and add their ideas and collaborate. And you could, as a teacher, you could add comments and provide feedback, or students could also learn how to add comments for their group mates. And so you, as the creator of this document, you would need a Google account to create this, but you would share it so that your students would not need an account. And in order to do that, when you share this, you would need to make sure that you select that anyone with the link has editing rights. And then you, after selecting these settings, you would then just copy this link and you could send it to your students in an email or on the learning management system. So students would just click on the link to be able to access the shared document. For a group discussion, you could use your learning management system discussion board. You could do this on Zoom, but an alternative would be Padlet. And Padlet is mobile friendly, as you can see here. You could, for this purpose, you could create a Padlet for each group. So each group would have their own Padlet and they could share their information. They could upload photos, videos, links, text to share with their group mates. With a free account, you can create 3 Padlets. So if you have the free account and you're limited with your Padlets, then you could create 1 Padlet for all groups. So all groups would access the same Padlet and they would just collaborate in 1 column on the Padlet. They would click this plus sign and then they could add whatever content they would like to share. And for Padlet, students don't need to create an account or log in. You just simply share a link with them. They click on the link and they will be taken to the online multimedia bulletin board. And for reporting information, Flipgrid is a free, fun, and fairly simple tool to use. And Flipgrid is mobile friendly. It has an Apple and Google app. And students, after adding the app, they can easily record a video and upload it from their phone. And they don't need an account or login to be able to add their video. They would just need a link that you would provide to them. And for this task, you would be able to create a Flipgrid for each group so that only those group members would add their videos to this Flipgrid. And then after you have all the different Flipgrids from each of your groups, then you could share all the Flipgrids with your entire class so they can see each group's report. Students upload videos with Flipgrid and then the teacher can provide feedback on each video that will be sent to the students via email. So these are some ways that you can encourage collaboration and teamwork apart from an online Zoom or Google Meet class session. And don't feel like you would need to use all of these tools at once or even use all of these to achieve this one learning outcome. Maybe you decide you would like to just explore one of these tools for this purpose, or maybe you decide that you want to spread this assignment out over the course of a few weeks and you spend 1 or 2 weeks with each of these tools with your students. So just remember to keep it simple for you as well as your students. Okay, thank you.